Chapter 1: A Catalyst for Change. In the shadowy corners of our lives, sometimes lies the most potent motivation for change. Picture this: a concept we'll call dark motivation. It's the force that pushes us to change when we stumble upon the less illuminated aspects of our existence. And believe it or not, it's a force that's as prevalent as it is powerful. Especially when we talk about the world of sexually transmitted infections, or STIs. STIs are far more common than we'd like to admit. Each year, millions of new infections are reported around the globe. But despite this, they remain shrouded in silence, tucked away in the corners of our collective consciousness. Why? Because they're uncomfortable to talk about. They're stigmatized. They're associated with shame and judgment. But it's precisely this discomfort, this darkness, that can spark the motivation for change. In the face of such a widespread health issue, it's high time we started having open, non-judgmental conversations about STIs. Conversations that replace fear and shame with understanding and empathy. Conversations that empower us to take control of our sexual health rather than letting it control us. When we start talking about STIs, we start acknowledging their impact, not just on our physical health, but also on our mental and emotional well-being. We start realizing that they're not a punishment or a mark of disgrace, but a health issue that can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or sexual orientation. And by acknowledging these infections for what they are, we can start to shift our perspective. We can begin to see them not as something to be feared and stigmatized, but as a call to action. A call to promote safe sex. A call to get tested regularly. A call to communicate openly with our partners. A call to take responsibility for our sexual health. Remember, it's in the darkest moments that we often find the courage to shed light on what needs to change. So, let's use this dark motivation as a catalyst. Let's harness its power to promote awareness, to encourage responsible behavior, and to destigmatize STIs. Because when we start shedding light on the shadowy corners of our lives, that's when we can truly begin to effect change. Chapter 2: The Human Face of STIs. Behind every statistic, there's a human story. Let's delve into the human side of STIs. When we talk about STIs, it's easy to get lost in the numbers. But it's important to remember that every case represents a person, a life, a story. Consider the story of Jane, a college student who contracted an STI after her first sexual encounter. She was scared, confused, and filled with regret. But this was not the end of her journey. Jane sought immediate medical attention and began a treatment regimen. She also sought counseling to cope with the emotional toll and started educating herself about sexual health. Today, Jane is a vocal advocate for comprehensive sexual education in schools. Then there's Tom, a middle-aged man who, despite being married for over a decade, contracted an STI from a casual encounter. The experience was a wake-up call for Tom. He took responsibility for his actions, informing his wife and seeking medical treatment for both of them. Today, Tom and his wife are using their experience to stress the importance of honesty and communication in relationships. And let's not forget about Lisa, a single mother who contracted an STI unknowingly from her partner. Lisa's story is one of resilience and determination. Despite the initial shock and fear, Lisa sought treatment and took proactive steps to protect her child. She now uses her experience to educate others about the importance of regular STI testing and safe sex practices. All these stories share a common thread. They show us the reality of living with and overcoming an STI. They show us that an STI diagnosis isn't a life sentence, but a call to action. A call to educate ourselves, to communicate openly with our partners, to practice safe sex, and to get regular checkups. Above all, these stories underscore that STIs are not a reflection of a person's character or worth. They are a health issue, and like any other health issue, they can be managed with the right care, knowledge, and support. Their stories remind us that there's hope, recovery, and a future beyond an STI diagnosis. Chapter 3: The ABCs of STIs. Knowledge is the first step towards empowerment. As we navigate the complex world of sexual health, understanding the ABCs of sexually transmitted infections, or STIs, is crucial. Let's demystify some of the most common STIs, their transmission, symptoms, prevention, and treatments. Starting with chlamydia, a bacterial infection that's often symptomless. It can be transmitted through vaginal, anal, or oral sex. Though silent, if left untreated, it can lead to serious health problems, especially in women. The good news: it's easily treatable with antibiotics. Next, let's talk about herpes, a viral infection that's characterized by outbreaks of blisters or sores in the genital area or mouth. It's spread through skin-to-skin contact, even when no symptoms are present. While there's currently no cure, antiviral medications can manage symptoms and reduce transmission. Gonorrhea, another bacterial infection, can also be symptomless or present with discharge and pain during urination. Like chlamydia, it's transmitted through sexual contact and can cause severe health problems if untreated. However, it's also curable with the right antibiotics. Human papillomavirus, or HPV, is a group of viruses that can cause genital warts and certain types of cancer. It's spread through vaginal, anal, or oral sex, and often, the body will clear the infection on its own. Vaccination is available and highly effective in preventing the most dangerous types of HPV. Lastly, HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, is transmitted through contact with certain bodily fluids, primarily during unprotected sex or through sharing needles. While there's no cure, antiretroviral therapy can control the virus and prevent progression to AIDS. Prevention for all these STIs involves practicing safe sex, regular testing, and open communication with partners about sexual health. Vaccinations are also available for certain STIs like HPV and hepatitis B. Remember, these are just a few examples of STIs. There are others, each with its own complexities. The key is to seek reliable information, engage in responsible behaviors. And remember that having an STI is not a moral failing, but a health issue to be addressed. Armed with this information, we can make informed decisions about our sexual health. Chapter 4: Your role in preventing STIs. Prevention starts with you. Sexually transmitted infections, or STIs, may seem like a distant concern, but they are more prevalent than you might think, and they can affect anyone who is sexually active. But fear not, you're not powerless in this situation. In fact, you are a key player in the fight against STIs. Let's discuss how you can play your part. Safe sex practices are your first line of defense. Using barrier methods like condoms or dental dams every time you engage in sexual activity can greatly reduce your risk of contracting or spreading STIs. Remember, these methods are effective only when used correctly and consistently. There's plenty of guidance available online on how to use these products, so don't hesitate to educate yourself. Next, make regular STI testing a part of your routine healthcare. It's a simple yet crucial step in preventing the spread of STIs. Why? Because many STIs can be asymptomatic, meaning you could have an infection without showing any symptoms. Regular testing ensures that any infections are caught early, when they are most treatable. We can't stress enough the importance of open and honest communication with your partners. Discuss your sexual histories, disclose any known STIs, and talk about your testing routines. Remember, this isn't about blame or judgment. It's about mutual respect and protection. So, how can you put all of this into action? Start by educating yourself about STIs and safe sex practices. There are numerous trusted resources available online, including the World Health Organization and Planned Parenthood. If you're sexually active, talk to your healthcare provider about how often you should get tested for STIs and where you can access these services. Finally, remember to approach these conversations with kindness and respect. It might feel awkward at first, but with practice, discussing sexual health can become a normal, comfortable part of your relationships. Every step you take towards prevention not only protects you, but also those around you. And remember, knowledge and action are your most powerful tools in the fight against STIs. Chapter 5. Reducing STI Stigma. Stigma thrives in silence, but we can break that silence. By fostering a culture of openness and understanding, we can start to dismantle the stigma surrounding sexually transmitted infections. This stigma often hinders discussions, discourages testing, and can even prevent people from seeking treatment. It's important to remember that anyone who is sexually active is potentially at risk for STIs. It's not a reflection of character or worth. It's a health issue that requires compassion, knowledge, and care. We need to replace judgment with empathy, misinformation with facts. In a world where STIs are stigmatized, it's paramount that we extend our support to those affected. Encouraging conversations, promoting education, and providing resources can pave the way for a more informed and compassionate society. There are countless resources available for those who need testing, counseling, or support. Remember, you are not alone, and there is help available. By breaking the silence, we can challenge stigma and create a more understanding and supportive society. Chapter 6. Empowerment through knowledge and action. Knowledge coupled with action is a powerful tool. It's the key to unlocking the door to empowerment and taking control of our own sexual health. When we are informed about sexually transmitted infections, their transmission, symptoms, prevention, and available treatments, we're armed with the tools to make responsible decisions. But knowledge alone is not enough. It's like a seed that needs to be watered with action to grow into a mighty tree. We need to apply what we've learned, embracing safe sex practices, regular testing, and open communication with our partners. We're not just arming ourselves, but also contributing to a broader change, helping to reduce the spread of STIs in our communities. It's a ripple effect that starts with one person and reaches out to many. Remember, your health is in your hands. With knowledge and responsible action, you have the power to make a difference.